Hi, so my name's Saif Ahmad. I'm a cancer doctor, but I've also for the last 4 years been doing a PhD at the University of Cambridge with Pembroke College with Professor Ashok Venkitaraman. My interests are in cancer biology and overall my research interests are in better understanding what treatments cancer patients should be getting. But as part of my PhD project, I've been looking at the BRCA2 gene, which is known to increase risk of cancer in individuals, and I'm trying to understand why that happens. So I actually did my undergraduate degree at the University of Sheffield in medicine, and then I worked as a junior doctor in a number of different regions. And then I started my specialist training in cancer medicine within this region, based within Cambridge, as part of an academic training track, which sort of encouraged me to get involved with research projects as well. And I was really fascinated in sort of the area I ended up in for my PhD. So I applied for a competitive Cancer Research UK PhD grant back in about 2012, and I was successful in that. And so I had a PhD funding for Cambridge, and then as part of that, then we have to choose which college we're attached to. And actually Pembroke was my first choice. So one of my best friends had been at Pembroke, and so I'd been to a lot of the balls and things. It seemed like a really fun place to be. And my supervisor is one of the fellows here as well, and so that a lot of students who were already at my lab were Pembroke students. So it kind of made sense from that point of view, but I've certainly not regretted the last 4 years. My overall research project is trying to understand why individuals who have mutations in the BRCA2 gene, why they go on to develop cancer and what are the underlying mechanisms of that. And clearly it's a very complex area that's been studied by many people over the last sort of decades really, but Cambridge really led the way in a lot of aspects of it. And in terms of what my specific project's looking at is looking at how the BRCA2, the protein within the cell, what it does, and one of the things that it's been recently shown to do is it controls when a cell divides, essentially. So there's something called a G2 checkpoint, which is the fancy name, but that's a little checkpoint which is there within each cell, and before it decides to split into two, it just operates to make sure that it's the right time to do that. So for instance, if while the cells were replicating, some of the DNA got damaged, it's not good to divide before then, so this checkpoint's active, and during that time the cell can repair whatever damage is within the cell. And the problem is if that checkpoint doesn't operate very well, then that can lead to either the cell dying or developing mutations, which can then lead to cancer in the future. So we know the importance of that checkpoint, but only recently was it shown that the BRCA2 gene had a role within that, but no one really knew what it was doing there. And so my PhD project focused on trying to understand that, and it's been challenging at times, but also really exciting. And I've learned a lot in terms of techniques, and I've had some interesting results as well. And so that's what I've really been working on. So it's mostly been quite sort of a basic sciencey project, so working with cancer cells, and but it's been really interesting. So as I mentioned, prior to this I was also working as a cancer doctor, so ideally for me it's trying to combine the research as well as the clinical aspects of what I do. So as part of that I'm hoping to apply for the sort of a postdoc period for doctors, which is called a clinical lectureship, and hopefully I've got an interview for that coming up in the next few weeks, and that allows me to split my time so I can carry on with the research that I'm doing as well as the clinical work. And I'm particularly interested in trying to improve cancer radiotherapy, and so how we can overcome problems where cancers are resistant to radiotherapy. So I'm looking to develop projects within Cambridge, and there's so many sort of experts in that area around, so I'm quite excited about what the future holds in that regard. So I've had a really positive experience with Pembroke so far, and hopefully as part of the clinical lectureship I'll be sort of carrying that forward. For me, I'm probably a slightly atypical graduate student in that I'd already been living in Cambridge for about 3 years before I started my PhD, and so I had my own house. I was also married, so I had a family and have had children as well during my PhD. So I'm probably not within the college environment as much as maybe some other people might be. But it's been really good because I've been able to dip in and out in some respects with the really good things that are going on. And they have lots of prizes that are just open for Pembroke students, so it's a you've obviously got a little bit more chance of winning them, but it's no less challenging. And there's a scientific communication writing prize that I entered for last year and actually won that. And it's just nice that those things are going on, and it just encourages you to look at things slightly differently. And of course, within the university, there's so much going on with talks and things. So it's been really great for me.